Welcome to our Capital Recovery Center, where we focus on two key concepts. How can we help you with your recovery today? And what does recovery mean to you? Tune in Tuesdays at 10 a.m. to our coffee and conversation meeting and Thursdays at 1 p.m. to our All Recovery meeting. For updated information, follow our Capital Recovery Center Facebook page.
Good morning. Welcome to our coffee and conversation. My name is Karen, and I'm one of your recovery coaches.
And good morning as well. My name is Craig. I'm also a recovery coach.
Good morning. My name is Michael. I'm also one of your recovery coaches. How are you today? All right.
Recovery on Wheels will be out next week, right? Yeah, next Wednesday, April 6th at the Wendy's on 39 East Broad Street.
What about Monday?
On Monday, April 4th at the Violent Police Department.
Violent Police Department. So y'all can come on out. Recovery on Wheels. We will be at two different locations. If you have anybody that needs some recovery services, please come on out, and you can come out and get some information about recoveries on Wheels. Thank y'all for tuning in today. And you know that Capital Recovery Center is officially open to the public. So that means you can come into this particular meeting and be participate in this group. We are looking forward to having this group, have a lot of people come in and just come in and see about Capital Recovery Center and all the things that we have to offer our community. What else we got? We got any more announcements?
Our recovery spotlight, right?
Yeah, recovery spotlight will be Friday.
April 1st.
Yeah, so we look out for our recovery spotlight participant for the month. And if you would like to share your recovery story, you can go to Capital Recovery Center's Facebook page and look at the other previous spotlight recoveries, and right on that page is a link, and you can share that link or click on that link and put your information in there, and we can share your story to help other individuals.
What's our slogan?
How can we help you with your recovery today?
And
What does recovery mean to you?
that's right.
That's a good question right there, because we was talking the other day, and we came to the realization that a person might continue down one path because of how they define recovery. And we thinking, man, why would you do that? And then we thought about it. Wait, hold on. Maybe that's how they define recovery. So it's actually not a wrong way. It might just be the path that we chose versus the path they chose. All right, what we got today?
All right, we got an article, a very interesting article, and the name of it is called, or the title, Understanding Drug Use and Addiction Drug Facts. And I
Pretty
believe
good.
this article is from the National Institute on Drug Abuse,
Great website.
NIH.
Yeah, great website. It got a lot of good content on there. We're gonna also be having evening hours. Since I'm telling you, we're gonna have evening hours starting April 18th. April 18th, we will be open from 1 to 9 p.m. So stay tuned for all our announcements. We're gonna have different groups. We're gonna have different things that you can possibly come to, due to you might be unable to attend morning meetings or morning groups.
So let's tell the people about some of the interesting groups that we're thinking about having. One is the MIT group, Men in Training. It's basically
Nice.
a group that I would like to host, and it's really not my group. It's men. It's all of our groups, and it's that you probably heard this term, men shopping men, iron shopping iron.
Good.
That's what we're going to be doing. But we're going to be talking about some life-changing facts and how we can better not only ourselves as men, but our families, our communities, and those who are connected to us. And also we have one, we're going to do some interesting board games.
All right.
If you know how to play chess, What's the name of that you titled, Karen?
The time to unwind.
A time to unwind.
Oh, it's gonna be
Ooh,
exciting.
we're gonna have a lot of different things going on. Yeah. Building. I'm gonna be doing a group called Building Recovery Capital. Yeah, building your recovery capital, because it's very important that you build that recovery capital, and then defining what is recovery capital. So that's the area I'm gonna stick in, and I'm gonna milk that all the way out. I'm gonna stay right, like we did at the Dimensions with the, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with a recovery capital.
You said that, I thought it was, when I used to work at McDonald's, they used to say, Mr. Craig, you turn that milk into chocolate, white milk to chocolate.
Talking about sending Craig home. Craig, fine work.
I used to find me a job.
All right.
Let's get
You're
into
looking
it.
good, man.
All right. The article goes on to talk about many people don't understand why or how other people become addicted to drugs. They may mistakenly think that those who use drugs lack moral principles or willpower, and that they could stop their drug use simply by choosing to. In reality, drug addiction is a complex disease, and quitting usually takes more than good intentions or a strong will. Drugs change the brain in ways that make quitting hard, even for those who want to. Fortunately, researchers know more than ever about how drugs affect the brain, and have found treatments that can help people recover from drug addiction and lead productive lives. And so this sounds like some evidence-based material. It has been taken through the ringer, and so they came out with some interesting facts.
All right, that's good stuff. What is drug addiction? Addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drug seeking and use that is compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences. That's important. You can always tell when you have harmful consequences and you continue to do something. This can be in any area. If you know consequences is there, harmful consequences, and you continue to do it, then you know you basically have an issue with something. The initial decision to take drugs is voluntary for most people, but repeated drug use can lead to brain changes that challenging an addiction person's self-control and interfere with their ability to resist intense urges to take drugs. So it intensifies the more you continue to use the ability to stop or to turn it off. It gets intense. The brain changes can be persistent, which is why drug addiction is considered a relapse disease. People in recovery from drug use disorder are at increased risk for returning to drug use even after years of not taking the drug. So you have that risk. That's why it's important about building your recovery capital, having different coping skills, trainings and everything. You got to try to build all that up, because you want to put yourself in the best possible position to succeed. It's common for a person to relapse, but relapse doesn't mean the treatment doesn't work. So true. Because as soon as somebody relapse, they say, man, my counselor was nothing. Man, I should have had a different counselor. As with other chronic health conditions, treatment should be ongoing. It should be adjusted based on how the patient responds. Adjustments should be adjusted. I always use the example, if you have a relapse prevention plan in place, you relapse, go back to your relapse prevention plan and change something. You got to adjust something, because obviously that plan didn't work. So it might be you spending too much time with a lot of people who currently using, you know what I mean? You might have to adjust your plan and get around individuals who aren't using something. Now, I'm just using the examples, but you have to make some type of adjustment based on the patient's response or the participant's response or the person's response. How are you responding to your relapse prevention plan? Treatment plans need to be reviewed often and modified to fit the patient. Here we do recovery management plans, and those can be modified as well to help individuals find out what's their most important need. Where do you need your most help? one day we're gonna do a relapse manage or recovery management plan on live. And ask the questions that's on there.
Find your strengths
Strengths.
and weaknesses.
Yeah.
A lot of times people, they get frightened, they get hung up on their weaknesses, what they're not skilled in, what they haven't learned yet. But when you focus on your strength, it gives people the empowerment, the encouragement to know that they have some capabilities that they really haven't been focusing on, and they can just, build more and more and more.
Yeah. All right, what we got?
What happens?
What happens?
Okay, it says, what happens to the brain when a person takes drugs? They had a commercial a long time ago. It's a fried egg in a pan.
This is your brain.
This is your brain on
Drugs.
drugs.
Fried egg.
Fry your brain. Fry your noodle. All right. Most drugs affect the brain's reward circuit, causing euphoria as well as floating it with the chemical messenger dopamine. A properly functioning reward system motivates a person to repeat behaviors needed to thrive, such as eating and spending time with loved ones. You see what it says? It gives you that euphoria sense of feeling that you are floating on cloud per se, and that you are constantly repeating the same behavior because it's a reward sensory from the dopamine.
And you looking for that same
feeling.
That's exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens is you're chasing that same feeling. You know what I learned is that same reward system functions even when we come to work and we get our check every 2 weeks.
Oh man,
It's the same.
That's a nice one.
That is, because I thought it was just something that was dealing with addiction. And then I realized that same reward system is the same thing. Like we go to work, and then we get the check. That same part of our brain, like, they made that. It's a whole different feeling from when you first starting off Monday morning from when when you get paid. It's a different feeling. So we constantly doing that and not even realizing it.
Surges of dopamine in the reward circuit cause the reinforcement of pleasurable but unhealthy behavior like taking drugs, leading people to repeat the behavior again and again.
And looking for that feeling.
It's unhealthy feeling, as opposed to when you get the check. That's more of a healthy feeling.
Yeah. But a lot of times when you're dealing with substance use disorders, we don't associate that with that same
knowledge.
Yeah, nah, it's the exact same thing in my brain goes on. The reward system.
As a person continues to use drugs, the brain adapts by reducing the ability of cells in the reward circuit to respond to it. This reduces the high that the person feels compared to the high they felt when first taking the drug. Wow. An effect known as tolerance.
That means what I used to take, don't do it.
Yeah.
What I used to take, it don't do it no more. So let's stay in the area of addiction, and we're going to do the same thing with working. After a while, you keep getting that same amount. It ain't doing nothing.
It ain't doing nothing. You want more.
Oh, yeah. Sooner or later, you're going to say, man, I ain't feeling that first high, first reward like I was before. So now it's the same exact system.
Same thing. One is healthy and one is unhealthy.
But it's the same system.
All right. And so it says they might take more of the drug to try and achieve the same high. These brain's adaptations often leads to the person becoming less and less able to derive pleasure from other things they once enjoyed, like food, sex, and social activities. And so the article is basically saying we're replacing one behavior with another.
And then you not only replaced it, you lost your joy for the other stuff.
Yeah. Was
enjoyable.
Was enjoyable or normal, now become.
I don't care about that.
I don't have an interest in it.
Where cash at that? I need cat. Where the person with the stuff that make me feel better.
They used to have a term, guys used to say, I used to hear people say, I probably even said it a few times. Girlfriend, man, I don't, you know.
This is my
girlfriend.
Yeah, I got no girl.
Right? So, but that's something. Long-term use also causes changes in other brain chemical systems and circuits as well, affecting functions that include learning. It affects your learning, your judgment, your decision-making, stress, how you handle stress, your memory loss, burnout brain cells, and it changes one's behavior.
And all these are very important, but one of the things that sticks out to me is your decision making. You start making irrational decisions because your brain and chemically, everything's all thrown off whack. So a lot of these functions, you might were a person that learned easy. Like if somebody told you something, you picked it up easy. Now it's like, man, I just can't get it. And that happens after years of repeated use of substance, which can change or go back to normal the farther you stay away from the substance. The farther you stay away from it, the brain or the body is one of the greatest things ever created because it starts to fix itself. If you start taking care of it, it'll start to function like this is how I'm supposed. It functions on its own. So the more you stay away from the drugs, your learning, your judgment, decision making, less stress, your memory start coming back, and ultimately your behavior change. You don't do this stuff. All that's this process of you staying away from the substance.
And all that basically deals with your core belief,
your
moral, your principles, your values, that what you once took interest in, you threw them out the window.
Yeah,
but once you get back to your sobriety and your recovery, you begin to replace or revisit those things that you once learned.
Yeah.
Or we can teach you something if you don't have those.
That's a learning. That might be another group we might get.
Learning curve.
Learning curve. Woo! You're coming up with them, Miss Downs. You got this on the book them up.
Despite being aware of these harmful outcomes, many people who use drugs continue to take them, which is the nature of addiction.
Yeah. A person addicted to something will continue to take them because they're addicted to it. That's in every area of our lives. Because you can be addicted to a lot of things other than drugs, but the same pattern of addiction is the same. If you continue to do it, you continue to do it, you continue to do it. It can be good and healthy things. One of the things I think in addiction is, I believe, is the development of self-control. Not saying willpower, but self-control. Some things, if we develop an area of our self-control, we won't do harmful things, especially to ourselves. Because I can't remember, I was watching somebody, they said, man, I love a lot of people, but I don't love nobody more than I love me. Like, but when he said that, he was saying, I'm not going to do too much to hurt myself. Not knowingly, like he said, not now. I might do something to people and have to ask them to forgive me. But he said, but if you think I'm gonna just go out here, it was Steve Harvey, I think. If you think I'm gonna do something to myself, I ain't doing that. But that's an addiction too. You want to read or you want me to go? You got it? Okay.
Why do some people become addicted to drugs while others don't?
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
No one factor can predict if a person will become addicted to drugs. A combination of factors influences risk for addiction. The more risk factors a person has, the greater the chance that taking drugs can lead to addiction.
Wow. So that's a big question for you. Why do some people become addicted to drugs while others don't? And on the flip side of that question is, why do other people get away from it and others don't? So one get addicted and some people don't. Some people change their lifestyle and other people don't. You got both of them.
For example, biology. The genes that people are born with account for about half of a person's risk for addiction. Gender, ethnicity, and the presence of other mental disorders may also influence risk for drug use and addiction.
Yes, because when you put them in that scenario, certain people have high risk, and a lot of times when you think about it, the genes. That's why I tell my children. I literally tell them. I send them in a group text. Yo, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do none of that. I always use this last statement. Y'all DNA don't do good with it. And they be like, Dad, you always say that. I'm saying, I'm telling you that the DNA y'all got in y'all is the same DNA I got in me. And it does not do good. Now, ultimately, they're going to make their own decisions, but I let them know it doesn't turn out well. So.
Another one is environment. A person's environment includes many different influences, from family and friends to economic status and general quality of life. Factors such as peer pressure, physical and sexual abuse, early exposure to drugs, stress, and parental guidance can greatly affect a person's likelihood of drug use and addiction.
Environment. Put yourself in the best possible environment. The accepted things you cannot change and character know the difference. You got to know what, if you can change the environment or remove yourself from the environment, if you can't change the environment, it plays a big part in what you do, your drug use and addiction.
And also within this environment, there's a lot of trauma that's basically been taking place because it talks about things that's peer pressure, some things people may have witnessed, physical or sexual abuse, or just being exposed to drugs at a very early age, because at a really early age, because a lot of people, especially young people, they're very impressionable. Minds is like sponge, so they absorb so much information. And so that's all they witness is negativity. Likelihood they're gonna repeat what they see or hear.
Absolutely, because of your environment. It's a big thing when you think about the environment that you are in. It influences, especially not just young people, but young people deal with a lot more peer pressure than older people. However, older people do deal with peer pressure, but they might not admit to it. Because a lot of times people are doing things because everybody around them is doing it. Then they like, man, everybody do this. And I remember I was talking to somebody and they were saying, everybody smokes and drinks. And I said, no, I know they don't. I was like, I know a whole bunch of people that don't smoke and drink. It's just everybody around you do it. So they think everybody's doing it. I'm like, no, I said, actually, the people around you that smoking, you could be smoking marijuana, people be around you. Because I was talking to my cousin the other day and I was telling him, I said, yo, you stink. So he was like, what you mean? I said, yo, you stink, man. You smell like, you think weed it doesn't stink. He said, nobody around me said this. I said, because they all smoke. Of course they ain't gonna say that. When I was smoking cigarettes, yeah. I didn't know how I smelled with cigarettes until I quit smoking. Then I'm like, oh shoot. My wife said, oh shoot, what? That's how I used to smell every day. I said, oh, then she said, yeah, that's why I made you smoke outside. But your environment dictates a lot of what we do. What's the next one?
The next one is development. Genetic and environmental factors interact with critical developmental stages in a person's life to affect addiction risk. Although taking drugs at any age can lead to addiction, the earlier that drug use begins, the more likely it will progress to addiction.
That's true.
This is particularly problematic for teens because areas in their brains that control decision-making, judgment, and self-control are still developing. Teens may be especially prone to risky behaviors, including trying drugs.
See what I said about self-control? Your self-control is still developing. And that's why I said, even as an adult, if it's still developing in a child, in a person that's an adult, is still having that problem. So one of the issues is self-control, because you know it's consequences with it, especially when you see a person who just suffered the overdose and then you come out of it and then you notice they go right back to it. Hold on, that consequence was almost costing your life and you went right back to almost taking your life again. So it has to be something that deals with self-control, and it not necessarily mean the development stage. It got to be development, some parts of each individual in recovery.
And that's just like, I just want to add a little, when they use the term a child in a grown man's body, you know, when we see people of age behaving or performing just like adolescents, you know, a lot of that comes from arrested development, a term they use, whereas you stop growing at a certain age due to certain environments that you're placed in.
Yeah.
So
that environment part is important, because how you can have two different individuals that are in the exact same environment, but behaviors are different. Like this person did this person, like, I'm not doing that. Like that's I think that's the most powerful thing. My pastor said this Sunday, he says, the greatest testimony you can ever have is that I never done it. I said, man, some people think you need the testimony to say I did it and got away and overcame it. But really, I wanted the story to say, yo, I never ever done it. But that ain't my story. Whatever. Don't be judging me. Who's next? Me? Can drug addiction be cured or prevented? As with most other chronic disease such as diabetes, asthma, and heart disease, treatment for drug addiction generally isn't a cure. However, addiction is treatable and can be successfully managed. People who are recovering from addiction will be at risk for relapse for years and possibly for their whole lives. Research says that combining addiction treatment medicines with behavioral therapy ensures the best chance of success for most patients. Treatment approaches tailored to each person's drug use pattern and co-occurring medical and mental and social problems can lead to continued recovery and the ability to speak life into existence. Each pathway, I use multiple pathways of recovery. My foundational pathway of recovery is faith-based, and that using that particular pathway to recovery, I'll never use drugs again. Like that's my like relapse is not even like an option for me. I couldn't even. They say, I heard one of the guys I used to listen to all the time. He says, I can use drugs again. I just can't handle those consequences that come with it. He said, now if you told me I can do it without the consequences, he said, I'll probably go ahead and do it. He said, but the stuff that come with it, he said, I don't want none. He said, jail, programs, people hating you. And he said, I can't do this. It's over. All right, so what we get more good news is that drug use and addiction are preventable. Results from NADA research have shown that prevention programs involve families, schools, communities, and media are effective for preventing and reducing drug use and addiction. Although personal events and cultural factors affect drug use trends, when young people view drug use as harmful, they tend to decrease their drug taking. Therefore, education and outreach are key in helping people understand the possible risks of drug use. Teachers, parents, healthcare providers have critical roles in educating young people when preventing drug use and addiction. This is some good stuff here, man. I like all this, man. This is a good lesson.
Sir,
You got any points to remember? Let's do them in
all right. Point one. Drug addiction is a chronic disease characterized by drug seeking and use that is compulsive or difficult to control despite harmful consequences. That word again.
consequences.
Harmful.
Brain changes that occur over time with drug use challenges an addicted person's self-control and interfere with their ability to resist intense urges to take drugs. This is why drug addiction is also a relapsing disease.
Relapse is the return to drug use after an attempt to stop. Relapse indicates the need for more or different treatment.
More or different treatment. Change something up, change the plan.
Most drugs affect the brain's reward circuit by flooding it with the chemical messenger dopamine. Surges of dopamine in the reward circuit cause the reinforcement of pleasurable but unhealthy activities, leading people to repeat the behavior again and again.
Looking for that pleasurable feeling. Over time, Wow, over time, over the time, the brain adjusts to the excessive dopamine, which induces the high that the person feels compared to the high they felt when they first taken the drug. An effect known as tolerance. That might take more of the drug, trying to achieve the same dopamine high. You chase it. That's called chasing. You chasing it.
Drug addiction is treatable and can be successfully managed.
Same pain.
Mhm. More good news is that drug use and addiction are preventable. Teachers, parents, and healthcare providers have crucial roles in educating young people and preventing drug use.
All right, this is good stuff right here, man. Where y'all get this from? I came up with this lesson. Hey, listen. Hey, so remember, y'all can come into the ADC between 8:30 to 4:30, and April 18th we'll be here 1 to 9. Well, we'll be here from 8:30 to 9.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because y'all be here early. But anyway, stop into the ADC anytime and check out Capital Recovery Center. What else we got?
Official times will be posted, I'm sure.
Yes, we will post them. We will get flyers out. Karen makes flyers. But anyway, we see y'all later.
Happy Tuesday.